Hey guys and dolls, what's going on? What's going on with all of you? How's it going? How's it going? How's it going? I just need to make a quick adjustment here and we're going to go ahead and get started because I don't want to be on here long because it is my first time back in a very long time. I feel like I've been off all summer. I really do feel like that's what happened. And so I don't intend to be on here very long, but I will be touching on a few topics and then I'm gonna jump off because I have so much that I need to get done tonight. So and it's already late. Greetings to family and friends. Hey, brother Leo, what's going on? It's the spooky one. Um, I hope to I'm sorry, something weird just came across my TV. And let me disclaimer so that you all know. I have a little bit of an issue with my attention span, and it's about a squirrel's length. And so I've got a few things that I've set to talk about, but I will probably end up discussing some other things, especially if somebody else comes on. So I need you all to hold me accountable. I've got somebody coming up as a Facebook user. I'm not quite sure who that is, but hello to you as well. Um, but so yeah, I will wander sometimes. See, just like that. Just like that. So, without further ado, I may have some people pop in and pop out a little bit later on. Um, maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I look forward to interaction. I love interaction. I love conversation. I'm built for conflict and opposition. So, um, for those of you who don't know what we do here, this started this page some time ago. My son and I used to have these really interesting conversations. Don't play with me, Roger Sherman. I ain't got time for you today. My son and I used to have these really interesting conversations on Mondays, just after the weekends and all of that. And we will talk about TV shows. We're extremely similar. We look alike. We've got similar interests in certain things, and so it's definitely a Cowboys jersey. Micah Parsons, the only cowboy I can claim today. So don't, I'm still sore. I'm injured today. I'm injured today. So I'm on the injured reserve right now. I might be seeking free agency and finding me somebody else to root for. But that's neither here nor there. I told y'all rabbit trails, but I try to come back. Um, but we used to have these conversations on Monday night that were really interesting. I feel like I enjoy more of a commentary type conversation more than facts and figures. Um, Look, then we in this together, bro. We we are in this together. You never give up hope, is what I say. It's better to be faithful to one than a fan of many. So, but I actually used to watch the Lions, and here's the quick piece of why I used to watch the Lions. I loved Calvin Johnson. That was a wonderful football player, fantastic looking human being. And so I enjoyed watching Detroit for all the wrong reasons. It ain't had nothing to do with the quality of the football. It just had to do with the man was fine. So, anywho, we would have these offline conversations, and many times we would get to talking about TV shows, stuff like Big Brother, and all of that kind of stuff. I warped him as a kid, so he's got weird. He's got a very similar dry, offbeat humor as I do, and so we end up watching a lot of the same stuff. And so This is not this is one of a few channels that we kind of work with. And but so we decided at some point to start bringing these conversations online and giving access, allowing people to, jump on, share their perspectives, um and come in. I used to throw the link out, and then there was there was one night this guy just jumped in, wanting to support Joe Rogan, and I'm like, we not here to talk about Joe Rogan today, sir. So I haven't, but I might get back into that. I will see. But we started having these conversations. People started coming on and adding, their 2 cents to our 2 cents. And somewhere along the way, we came up with nickels and dimes, and it was wonderful. And so, but lately, his business, for those who don't know, I'm very proud of my son. He's a jazz trumpet, um, musician, composer. Got his first project out, Quest Part 2, on Apple, Spotify. It's everywhere. Bandcamp, probably the best place to check it out. But anyway, so he's been busy, and then on Wednesday nights we have Bible study on Wednesday nights, and our services are they're so good that by the time I make it home, I'm just drained. So during quarantine, we used to do Wednesday nights because we had online church, and we'd be done by a certain time. But now that we're back in the building, and there's some additional responsibilities. So Wednesday nights hasn't been working out. No night's been working out. And so during the summer, I've just kind of laid back, and I might jump on my own page every now and then to say a little something, but I really haven't had a lot of commentary. So, and there really hasn't been a lot to talk about, even though there have been things to talk about. Like I really wanted to jump on the week that those protesters disrobed at Joel Osteen's church, because I felt like that was hilarious to me. Because it's like, of all of the churches where you really could have made a strong, bold statement, you chose to go to Candyland. You went to Joel Osteen's church to make a statement. Yeah, big crowd, but probably didn't have the impact you thought you were going to have. And so there's been a whole lot of other things that have happened over the summer that I've wanted to and just ramble for a little bit about it, and then jump off. And I haven't, but it looks like maybe Monday nights is going to work out, because I get done pretty early on Monday nights, and so that's a time when I'm in. And if this football season pans out the way that it looks like on Monday, I may need some therapy anyway. So that may this may end up being the night that I come on and just jump into a few topics, and then ride from there. So my first topic I want to talk about tonight is, for those of you who don't know, I'm sure everybody knows, I have been a lifelong, as far back as I can remember, Cowboys fan. And I've weathered the storm mostly. There was a 2 year, I want to say maybe a 2 season period where I put them on pause, and I became a good watcher of Baltimore and Pittsburgh. I enjoyed them, but they never quite set in my heart like the Cowboys did. So I was really glad to be able to go back when Tony Romo was let go, because he was standing between me and peace, and I couldn't take him anymore. So once he's gone, and I hung in through the Jason Garrett season, and I'm here now, and I've just been so amped over these last couple seasons. And man, y'all, I was so ready. Like yesterday, I could have played quarterback. I was just so excited about this season. I was so ready for things to get going. And then things got going, and man, it just was bad. It was bad, but I felt good about, uh, I felt good about the fact that we survived the game. And apparently, a quarterback needs some more. I'm sorry, the Cowboys quarterback needs some work with his thumb. Um, and okay, that's fine. Whatever he needs, go get it. And so I'm intrigued to see what we do if we ride out with the also rans, that are been on the bench. Or I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm not ready to give up. I always believe Uncle Jerry's got a trick somewhere that he can pull out. I just don't know what it's going to be. So I'm here for it. And somebody posted a picture of Cam Newton today, and I was like, Anything might work. Roger, you play quarterback. Leo, you got a couple passes in you. Somebody, anybody. we need, we are in need. So if you see somebody out on the side of the road, advertising for a quarterback, we are in need. If you got some, it won't. We'll take what you got. But some of Cowboys lost. And it usually, I don't feel a sting when they lose. Because we lose. It's what happens. We're not perfect. We're the best, but we're not perfect. And but to lose to Tom Brady was like extra painful because my sister, who is a hater, but she's a huge Tom Brady fan. She and my other brother William Lawson, who is a Bears fan and ain't afraid to say it out loud, have been giving me grief pretty much all summer. And that's why I think everybody's really a Cowboys fan, because all summer, literally started like in the middle of the summer. People started posting memes about how bad my Cowboys were going to be. And I'm like, how are you all thinking about us already? That's how you know that everybody really got love for the Cowboys. They just don't know how to show it. We're a broken people, so we don't know how to show love. That's what that is. That's what I'm calling it. So anyway, but I've survived. I'm not ready to throw them away just yet. I'm not ready to put my jersey, away yet. But after it comes back from the cleaners this week, it might stay in the package. But we'll see. And so all of that played into, because Fifi Lamb, I don't know what he was doing yesterday either. I know it's CD, but he looked like he in his feelings about something. So Fifi Lamb let me down. He was on my fantasy roster. And when I tell you yesterday, the entire league played me. The entire league disappointed me and let me down. When we drafted, I felt really good about people I had selected for my team. I actually missed the first round of the draft and ended up with an auto pick that was phenomenal. I hadn't set a queue or anything. And so I'm like, okay, this is going to work out. How can you go wrong with Aaron Rodgers? How can you go wrong? And so I really felt like my son was in danger. And of course, first week I end up with who? My son is my opponent. And I'm feeling okay. I've got Aaron Rodgers. He's got Russell Wilson, but I don't feel bad about that. I felt pretty good about what I was working with. And when I tell you, from top to bottom, the entire league, it's like they got together and decided, not this week, ma'am. It's not happening for you. So, long story short, I think I'm about to a week that I definitely should have won. I don't know how the rest of this is going to go down, but just know we'll be talking about it. Hopefully next week he'll be free to be able to jump on and chat with me for a little bit. So that is that. Now, we've had some interesting losses this week. Like even earlier today, my mom called, Ramsey Lewis passed. And I'm familiar with Ramsey Lewis, but I'm not a deep fan of his music. Other than that one song, The In Crowd. I really am not familiar with a lot of his music, but seeing that story, it's just kind of, at this point, you check the news in the mornings and checking the news, checking the weather, checking the traffic. But then of course, you're going to hear some passing that's going to just be much for you. And so the other day, while the world was kind of focused on losing the Queen, the sudden passing of David Arnold definitely caught me off guard. He's a very funny comedian, and the tributes and the things that people had to say about him were so moving and key. And I thought it really interesting how people in his industry, how much they talked about how supportive he was. And I think it's really a testament to him as a person. But how about us? When we're gone, what will people say about you? I think many times we forget to live in light of the fact that someday we're not going to be there. There's going to come a day when we're no longer here. What are people going to say about you? And what I loved with David Arnold was the stories of how he worked harder on other people's success of their crafts. He helped other people get better at what they did. He helped others improve, how they did in comedy. And some really like heavyweights in comedy talking about, the assistance that he gave them, how he was helping them sharpen, their skills and all of that. And so that was a bit much. And then the passing of Bernard Shaw. I remember, the early days of CNN watching Bernard Shaw. And so those were two passings that were really, I think, key for us. Those are two things that I think were really those are two losses that I think were really, really important for us. But what has tickled me, and I can't stop, it's really hard for me to stop laughing about it because it's not funny. Queen Elizabeth, the only, Queen of England I've known in my life, because she's been queen forever. She passed, and man, the internet has been on 10. The memes have been just outrageous. And I felt bad as one who just lost their grandmother. So I had to kind of come back to wait, somebody lost a grandmama, somebody lost a mama. That was a real loss for somebody. But y'all clowned real bad with this lady. And I'm not one who's going to hold royals in high esteem at all. I say throw the whole bunch out, because when you look at the drop off that you're experiencing going from an Elizabeth to Charles, it doesn't even sound good. It doesn't even sound right. So you're looking at a queen who came to power as a result of scandal, as a result of, her coming in to fill in where her uncles, decided they needed to do something different. And I know all the stuff with the Anglican church and, their separation from the Catholic church. And so there's a lot of topics that we can probably discuss over on the other side that I think are really interesting to look at. And I think important for us to know just where people stand in time and in history. But I have been endlessly amused and ashamed at some of the memes that have been posted about the passing of the queen. And so, if nothing else, I really do hope that, many times loss brings people together. And so I do hope that there is some reconciliation for the brothers. And I know for Harry, it seems that he and Grandmom, what he called her, had a different kind of relationship than her and some of the other grandkids. So I do hope that this at least allows the brothers time to make peace, um, because it's really something when life happens, and as a result of life, the people that you hold really near and dear to you, you're no longer able to fellow with them because, as he's got to, he's going to honor his wife. He's going to look out for her best interest. And it's unfortunate that we know that her best interest wasn't served, by he was born into and by the people, that were a part of their life. And so I really do hope that, during, as they're going through all of the, what's going on, bro? I do hope that it does allow those brothers an opportunity to really, make peace, or, at least enough peace that it's not an art. Because I tell many people, sometimes with death, you really do lose connection with people who the only reason you were connected was that person, and now that person is gone. Grandma may have been the only reason we were connected, and now she's gone. what does that mean for our relationship? And I pray the part that should remain, that it remains, but that there not be, an ought or something in the heart that's held against the person. Because I don't know about you, I don't need any of my hindered. So I pray the same for them, that they're able to find a level of peace that they're able to have, despite them bums who did little of nothing to protect that woman, and all she did was fall in love with their grandson, who, we're not gonna gossip tonight. Okay, we just gonna keep going. Um, so I'm anticipating that she probably won't have a funeral like the Queen when Aretha passed. Now that was a funeral, and I'm not ashamed to say that I took off work. I'm not ashamed to say I don't think I missed very many minutes. I missed the eulogy, but the concert, I was there for it. I enjoyed it, even the uncomfortable parts, even the rough parts, like when Shaka Khan was struggling with that song, and I thought, yeah, this is interesting. Or at the very beginning, when Ariana Grande is trying her best to get away from Bishop Ellis, and he's determined he gonna hug he gonna hold these young hips, whether she want them held or not. That one was a little rough for me, but so we'll be looking. We'll see. What happens of this. We know there will be much pomp and circumstance because they are the kings and queens of doing too much where pomp and circumstance is concerned. So we'll be looking forward to seeing all of that. I don't know if any of you have been watching Big Brother. I'm a huge, I've been a huge fan of the show Big Brother. I won't say that I haven't missed seasons. There are seasons that I just skip because the contestants look whack. And this season I thought was going to be like that. There was nobody interesting. They were playing a horrible game the first few weeks in. There was nothing of any kind of value at the very beginning. And then something weird switched and it turned into some of the best times that I've spent watching TV. And so again, that's a conversation I'm going to wait and host with my son. But we're down to the wire now. We're down to the final four. I haven't seen, like, I don't watch the live feed and all of that. My son is more the fanatic where that's concerned. But we're down to, I think, the final four. There's been some really, really terrible gameplay. There was a moment in there, and I don't know what you all think about it. If you're a Big Brother watcher, last season, all the people of color band together and formed an alliance, protected each other all the way to the bitter end to ensure that there was a Black winner. And so coming into this season, there's a young man in the game who he's like, wait, hulla, 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 hulla. It seems to me like all the people of color might be working together. And, so we need to form an alliance. And he came just a little bit short of saying we need to form an all white alliance. But the bad part for him was he had some snitches who that's definitely how they reported it. And what was ugly about it, though, was they waited until they were at a place where he could have been voted out. They didn't tell on him when he did it, because that's when they should have said something. Was as soon as he had that meeting saying, hey, what if we kind of form a unspoken white alliance? That's when they should have said something. But they waited until it could work against him and appear to work in their favor to say something about it. And that was raggedy. So I do hope that nobody who was a part of that mess moves forward. I'm pulling for Taylor, the young Black girl who's there, the young Black woman who's there. I'm sorry, I don't want to be offensive to anybody's sensibilities calling her a girl. She's a woman. Young man, Monty, and the little guy who looks like Joe Dirt. It's hard for me to pull for him because he looks like he stinks. So I can't. But kind of hoping that those win so that nobody who was connected to the unspoken white alliance idea I hope none of those people prevail and make it through. Send them all to jury is what I say. So that'll be that. But next week we'll be focusing on that show. And the last thing I want to bring up before I go, House of Dragons. What's going on, Karen Anderson? That show has really been interesting to me. And so we're going to get in depth once I've had to sit with him and kind of schedule some things out, because the casting has been phenomenal. The storyline has been weird. The content has been strange, but I think it all deserves a good conversation, a good talking about. So hopefully, I do believe we are going to aim for next Monday if he's available. If not, we'll get it scheduled and make sure that those who are lovers of the show, how you doing, Minister Clemisha? Those who are interested in the show, those who hate the show, because that's another perspective that's out there. Is there's many who are just utterly opposed to the even existence of the show, and that anyone who dares to call themselves a believer would be watching the show. And then there are others who are guided by their own conscience, watch what they want to watch. So we will have that conversation. But one of the things that was really interesting, and I guess it kind of ties into it's the thing that always happens anytime there's a story of characters, and it seems like it's more so it seems like it happens a great deal more in the fantasy type work than any of the other works. Like I remember, some conversation when Hamilton was new to us, one of my favorites, mind you. And there was discussion about the cast of color playing these parts that were always portrayed by whites because the people they were portraying were white. But the spin that the producers and directors and writers took by having Black actors play those parts and the impact of it was key for me. And I'm usually not moved by those kind of conversations, but that piece was really good. But it seems like people jailed with these real life white people being played by Black people. It's won many awards and all of that. But man, if they cast a Black person to play a fictional character, all the nerds go berserk. That character wasn't written white, wasn't written Black. Thinking about the young lady that's playing the mermaid. Like, yeah, mermaids aren't real. So you're okay with this story about mermaids. The mermaid just can't be Black. I find that to be hilarious. And so that's the thing that happened on that has come into play as well on House of the Dragon, which hilariously enough, I see many of my brethren and sistren who call that show House of Dragons, and it's House of the Dragon. If we're gonna be exact, if we're gonna be legal about it. Yes, Rev C, I am watching. And when you tell on me, tell them I'm enjoying it too. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite characters, probably at this point, my favorite character is like the worst dude in the bloodline. Damon is interesting to me. When they told him that he was going to cause warfare, and his response to them was wonderful, he immediately jumped to the top of my list because I love the chaos of it. But yeah, so we're going to talk about that. But yeah, the character who shows up and has the audacity, the unmitigated gall to have been cast black. And he's like, yeah, you're perfectly okay with this being a totally fictional world. But the fact that they might cast somebody black to play this role, that's the part you can't take. It's amazing to me, the foolishness that we can get caught into. But I really do want to sit down and take a look at the cast. I was intrigued by the young lady who is playing the successor to the king, Renara, because I had to go and look. I'm like, what is her ethnicity? Because she's just really weird looking to me. I'm just curious. Employing those terms, we're learning phenotypes. She looks a little ambiguous. And it was so funny. I went in and looked, searched for Millie, whatever her name is. And the opening line of the article said that she was just a regular plain Caucasian. I found that to be hilarious. I felt bad that they called her plain, but yeah, it was interesting. Top 3 of all time: Arya, Lady Mormont, and Daenerys. I agree with that. I was actually so disgusted with how GOT ended. I almost wasn't going to watch this show. But when I found out those writers, the people from that project weren't involved with this one, I figured I'd give it a try. And I have been extremely pleased. But yes, Arya is my girl. Lady Mormont is my girl. And Daenerys, I'm just angry at how they played her at the very end. And I just keep having these cartoony flashbacks of her zipping around on this dragon, burning up everything in sight. But needless to say, we'll have some conversation about that next week as well. So I hope those of you who have checked in tonight to see what the heck is this goofy girl talking about tonight, that you will come along and join us sometime on Mondays and join in on the conversation. I'm trying to schedule them so that if it's a topic you're interested in, you can drop in, have your little words, and go. If you don't want to stay for very long. But there's some other things I want to go and watch and partake in tonight. So I am going to jump off of here. Thank you, everybody who stopped in, had some comments and whatnots. Follow our page to check in, and look, like, follow, share, all that good stuff. I usually don't ask that, but in this season I am going to be a little more active with these pages as I'm preparing to retire from this secular job. I do intend to get much more involved in content creation, learning some video editing stuff, and making it. The maestro is in the comments. Brady Lewis. Damon is definitely becoming one of my favorite characters. Absolutely. He is. Absolutely, he is. I'm making that the scene of him dragging half of that crab feeder's body out of that cave. It's my screensaver. He is, yeah, hilarious. I don't even know if that's the word I would use, but I can't stop laughing at his tomfoolery. I cannot stop laughing at his tomfoolery. But son, if you can join me next week, I just want to go through the cast and kind of do a catch up on where we are. I can't do it tonight because I did not watch last night's episode. So I need to watch last night's episode and get completely caught up. And hopefully next Monday, if you're available, or any others that are watching it. I know Rev C, you are a watcher. I know there are some others who are watchers. If it doesn't conflict with something else that you got going on, you're welcome to come on and be a part of the conversation, because I think this show is going to give us some stuff to talk about, for some time, and really be good. Because I'm intrigued to see how long it's going to take this poison to kill the king, if it ever kills him, or if he's just going to slowly rot before our eyes. keep cutting itself on that same throne. Like, where's his cleaning staff? They're not wiping nothing down. I'm concerned. I'm very concerned. Very concerned. And then of course I want to see, what else Damon is up to. Um, but I'm hopeful that this is going to be an interesting show for us. Um, and then of course there's always something happening in the news. There's always something for us to talk about. So we do look forward to starting up afresh with weekly, if not bi-weekly, may do bi-weekly, but at least bi-weekly conversations on what's happening in the world, in your world. If you're in our District 189 over here in Illinois, they were sending out an alert for parents to be mindful of some strange activity involving a white van near the schools. So watch your kids. And as we always close out these episodes of the check in on your people. The kids have just started school, and we know for some reason it seems like bullying is at a whole nother level for this generation, and we've got to protect our babies. So check in, make sure your kids, are having a good experience. Make sure your kid ain't the bully, because somebody's parenting these monsters. And so we need to make sure whether your child is the bully or the bullyee, either way, check on your kids. Many of them really struggled during virtual learning. Some kids prospered though, because they didn't have to deal with, bullying and name calling and all of those kinds of things. So check on your kids, check on your family. How are your parents doing? A good family friend of mine is dealing with a situation where her dad is declining in his health, and he's starting to have some outbursts. And my heart goes out to people dealing with sick parents and grandparents. Those of you who know, in November we lost, well, November 1st, we lost my grandmother. And we're still, healing from that. So those dealing with, caring for sick relatives, we do pray for caregivers, because that's a difficult task, to be in a place where you're dealing with a parent or grandparent and you're having to almost deal with them as a child. It's tough. And we had a really, really rough 2021 dealing with some sickness in the family. And so our prayers go out to those who are primary caregivers for their family, for family members and friends. Check on your spouses. If the Lord has blessed you to be married, make sure that you're giving what you got to that relationship, and never give the world more than you give them. Never give other people what they deserve, because look, they put up with you. You know what I'm saying? So, and then check on yourself. How are you doing? It's been an interesting year. How are you doing? How's your spirit? How's your relationship with the Father? Are you spending time in prayer? You spending time reading your word? You spending time in devotion? Spending time hearing his voice? Spending time allowing him to heal those areas in you that lived through some really tough times over the last few years? How's your emotional health, your mental health? Um, Feeling out of sorts? Or are you feeling pretty good? Do people know where you're struggling? Have you opened up to anybody? I'm not going to tell you have to go to therapy, but I am going to say you need somebody that you're listening to. And I'm not one who tells you all you need is Jesus. Just get saved and live right, and everything's going to be good. The Lord placed us in communities together, one with another, for us to take care of one another. Your friend, you may only know them from social media, but they disappear. You haven't seen them, you haven't heard from them. If you have the ability, check on them. Make sure they're okay, because it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to stay not okay. Let somebody know if you're struggling. We're losing too many people. I was talking with someone recently who just highlighted for me. We don't hear about all of the suicides unless it's somebody prominent or something really graphic that happens. But suicides are, the incidence of suicide is really high. Attempted suicides are really high right now. People are dealing with a lot of stresses financially. Some have never recovered from, jobs lost during the pandemic, income lost during pandemic, businesses closed during the pandemic. And so people have not fully recovered. And so here at the check-in, yep, we do like to stop here. We try not to have very heavy conversations here, because there are very heavy conversations that need to be had. Over at Christ is Our Culture, that's where we talk a lot more about some of our biblical topics, do studies, word studies, current event conversations from a Christian perspective over on that page. We do that here as well, because I'm a minister everywhere I go. I'm not two different people, but the content on this page is a little more entertainment focused than the other. Um, so check on your people, check on yourself. Check in with the Lord. What's He trying to say to you in this season? What is it? Where's His Spirit leading you? What is His Word telling you that you need to be about in this season? Are you growing in your word? Are you growing in your prayer life? Are you maturing in the areas where you know you need to come up? Are you dying to self daily? Are you still letting your emotions run you and making emotional decisions? And so don't just check in on everybody and don't check on yourself. And don't just check in with everybody and don't check in with the Father. And if you don't have a relationship with Him, you know where I stand. There is one God, there is one Savior, and you need Jesus. You need Yeshua. You need Him. You need Him. And it's really simple. Um, Repenting of your sins, realizing you need saving. Simple repentance, understanding that He lived a sinless life, died on a cross, paid for your sins. That work is done. Now it's your job to walk in what it is that He's done for you. So we're going to check out for the night, but just know that we pray for everyone who comes through the comments. If you leave a comment, share, like, chat. If there's a particular request that you have, drop it in the chat or message me if it's not something you want to share publicly. We have prayer every day at 5 o'clock. Our church, that's a standard time of intercession where we pray. So if there's ever a need that you have, um, just drop it in the comments or drop it by messenger, and we will definitely get you covered and keep you covered. But that said, we are going to go ahead and shut down for the night, because there's a few other online conversations happening right now that I want to jump back into. So good night, everybody. Brady Lewis, thank you. Rev C, Reformed Rev C, Reverend Shannon Cockrell. Follow him on Facebook. Reformed Rev C on YouTube. Really good theological conversations. He's a dispensationalist, but don't hold it against him. I think he might even be a Calvinist. Don't hold it against him. I think he might be a tulip planter. Anyway, Clemisha Hayes, Minister Clemisha, have a good evening. Thank you for stopping by. Karen Anderson, my sister in Christ, love you. Yeshaya, Mr. Blacktastic, thank you for stopping in. Roger Sherman, the second, Ashkenazi Roger, to me forever. Have a good night. Leo Wilson, Spookism on YouTube. Check the folks out. If you've got a channel or a page, share it in the chat. I recommend whoever posts something, I recommend them. I don't follow bum. Well, no, I take it back. I follow some bums because they're bums and I like to know what they're saying. And I love that YouTube will give me an alert that, IUIC is about to have a 12-hour class on something hilarious. I enjoy that. I'm here for the chaos. I love it. I was built for it. Forged by fire. I I was made for it. I was built for it. So join us there, and then check out my other page, Christ is Our Culture, where we share a lot of stuff from a bunch of other ministries. Sunday nights, I generally do a Sunday night try. We are about to get back into doing our Sunday night live, where it's usually either me doing a lesson or teaching on a particular topic, or my friends and I will get on and have some conversation about current events, but from more of a Christian perspective, not so much an entertainment perspective. But join us there, and then randomly during the week, as the Spirit leads, we jump in with the Burning the Midnight Fire, and we'll do a line by line Bible study. So have a peaceful night. I love you. Appreciate you. Have a good night. Bye. I need some outro music. Bow, 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 bow. Have a good night.